Today we're going to take a look at answering open response questions, otherwise known as short answer response or SAR. Previously this week we looked at the strategy known as APE. So if you recall, the A in APE stands for answer the question. Start your answer with part of the question. The P is for proof from the text, and you can use some of these different stems here to start your answer, your proof sentence off in your answer. The E stands for extend or make an opinion or connection and summary statement. I want to note here that it takes at least 2 sentences to make the extension part of the APE process. So let's take a look at the rubric we will be using to grade the SAR. Again, we previously went over this rubric this week. We were aiming for a score of 3, meaning that my idea is perceptive and reflects an awareness of the complexities of the text. You understand what you've read and you can extend on it in short answer response. The text I use to support my idea is specific and well chosen, so your evidence is very well thought out. It proves your answer. And the combination of my idea and the text I provided demonstrates I have a deep understanding of the text. This refers to your connection right here, those 2 sentences at the end. You have to really show that you've thought this through and you've proven and extended your answer. So how are we going to do that? Let's take a look now at the question that we will be answering together. The question we will answer together today starts with the directions. Use the mentor text to answer the following question. Be sure to provide evidence to support your answer. This is the most important part. This is what we're talking about. Your evidence must prove your answer. So let's look at the actual question, which is located right here. In the story, Unusual Normality, Ishmael Bey's use of language, his word choice, and syntax establishes an individual voice and tone. Describe the essay's voice and tone. So if I refer back to my APE process, A stands for answer the question. And you're going to use part of the question to form that answer. So I'm going to start off with his name, because that is our author and it's in the question. And that's exactly what the question's asking us. It's asking about his voice and tone. So Ishmael Bey's use of active voice to create a tense and reflective tone. I don't think this makes sense. I'm going to go back. Ishmael Bey's use of active voice to create. I'm going to say he uses active voice to create a tense and reflective tone in Unusual Normality. All right, so how did I come up with tense and reflective? Well, that's where you get into proving your answer with the text. I'm thinking back to the story now, and I'm thinking to the specific part where he and his friends go to play paintball. If you will go back in the story and find that part and reread it for me real quickly. If you are in a actual book, it's on page 23. If you are online, you're going to have to scroll down to find that part. Reread that for me. I'll give you a minute to do so. All right, let's come back together now. What I discovered is that a normal activity for his peers was way more than an innocent activity to him. And that was due to his experience in his former life. And that is what I want to use as my proof here, because that is what creates that tense yet reflective tone. It was tense when he was experiencing that paintball fight, but then afterwards he was able to reflect on that and understand how it was just a simple game to his friends, and eventually he was able to participate in it. So here we go. We're going to start off by saying exactly that. After experiencing the terror of war from an early age, they struggled to understand the innocence of his new peers in New York. So I've really established what's going on in the story here, but I'm still being kind of vague. So I need to make sure that proof in my next sentence is very specific. When describing a simple game of paintball, he, and I'm going to quote right out of the book, began to memorize the terrain immediately, and this was from habit. I don't know if any of you have ever played paintball, but memorizing the terrain immediately is not necessarily a strategy that teenagers have. They are more focused on just hitting each other with the paintball, running around, having a good time, laughing. But because of the tense situations that this individual had experienced in his previous life, he knew that he had to memorize that terrain and conquer this endeavor. And so I showed that here. He was very tense, but then he was able to reflect on that, and he was able to see how that was normal. So he had to adapt when he participated in this normal teen activity. That's what makes it an unusual normality for him, because it's unusual for him but normal for his teen peers. So now we're going into the reflective sentence, and you notice I only have a small part of my box left. I have written kind of big because I want you to be able to see what I'm writing here, but you have to stay within the box. So what I want to add here is normal teen activities were difficult for him to adapt to because of the way he was raised. Now, I know in the first couple of tries you might go a little bit over the box, but as time goes on, you really have to fit within that box, because anything outside of the writing box is not graded when we get to formal assessments such as district assessments and SAR. So let's read our complete answer choice here. Ishmael Bey's use of active voice to create a tense and reflective tone uses an active voice to create a tense and reflective tone in unusual normality. After experiencing the terror of war from an early age, Bey struggled to understand the innocence of his new peers in New York. When describing a simple game of paintball, he began to memorize the terrain immediately, and this was from habit. Normal teen activities were difficult for Bay to adapt to because of the way he was raised. Now, have we answered the question about what is his individual voice and tone, and did we describe it here? We did describe how an innocent activity such as paintball is very tense for him, and we described how that is a result of his past. So I believe that we have answered the question effectively.